an influential name, a double murder case, and fraud worth millions of dollars. Today's episode is about the case of Alex Murdaugh, whose trial was labeled South Carolina's trial of the century. The Murdaughs were a local, well-known family of attorneys, so the world was shocked when the family's head got caught in horrendous murder and embezzlement cases. What made things worse was that the victims were his own son and wife, Margaret and Paul Murdaugh. So, how did Alex Murdaugh go from a family man and successful attorney to a corrupt killer? Stick around as we dive in and find out. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe. It all started on June 7th, 2021, in rural Colleton County when Alex made a puzzling call to Maggie Murdaugh, urging her to join him at their family lodge. The reason? A journey to see his ailing father, Randolph Murdaugh III. But little did she know this would be a trip with consequences far beyond her imagination. It didn't seem odd at first since Alex's father was over 80 years old and quite ill. But eventually, Maggie sensed something was wrong, so she confided in a friend through text, expressing suspicions about Alex's intentions. Tensions were building, setting the stage for a tragic sequence of events. At 10:07 p.m., Alex called 911, claiming he had found his wife and son's lifeless bodies near the family's dog kennels on their family lodge estate. The details are gruesome: multiple gunshot wounds to the head, wrists, and chest, inflicted by different firearms. When the police questioned him further, he informed them in a shaky voice that he hadn't been home when the murders happened. Instead, he claimed to have been with his dementia-stricken mother at the time of the murders. On June 14th, the authorities confirmed that both the dead bodies had multiple gunshot wounds, with the time of death being 9 and 9:30 p.m. 2 months later, on September 4th, it was found that Alex Murdaugh had been shot in a roadside in Hampton County. His friend, Jim Griffin, who was also his lawyer, provided the details of the whole incident. The next day, the authorities stated that Murdaugh had a superficial head wound and was being treated for it at Memorial Health University Medical Center in Savannah, Georgia. But things were about to get even fishier for Alex Murdaugh. On September 6th, he announced his resignation from his family law firm, claiming he needed to cover up for a lot of mistakes he's made. His future plans included going to rehab to work on them. However, only a few hours after this statement, his company announced that Murdaugh had misappropriated company funds. Murdaugh made a clever attempt to get away but failed badly in no time, and things were going bad for him fast. This wasn't enough because 2 days after that, the South Carolina Supreme Court indefinitely suspended Murdaugh's law license. A few days later, on September 14th, it was revealed that Alex Murdaugh allegedly orchestrated his shooting for a massive $10 million insurance payout for his son, Buster. Authorities claimed that Murdaugh hired his 62-year-old former client and cousin, Eddie Smith, to carry out the staged shooting. Smith now faces charges including assisted suicide, assault, insurance fraud, and conspiracy. On September 15, 2021, Murdaugh's attorney revealed that he was depressed, battling opioid addiction, and believed his insurance had a suicide clause. On the other hand, investigators had found another loose string from Murdaugh's shady past. They opened a criminal probe into the 2018 death of his housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield. On September 16, Alex finally turned himself in on charges of insurance fraud, conspiracy, and filing a false police report. The man who had been running from his crimes finally confessed and realized he couldn't change his fate anymore. But to the public's surprise, he didn't face any serious charges. He was simply granted a bond, ordered to surrender his passport, and allowed to return to rehab. But this wasn't the end. Alex would eventually pay not only for money fraud, but also for the grave murders of his own family. Stick around to find out how. On October 14th, Alex Murdaugh finally got a taste of what he deserved. Murdaugh got arrested in Florida post-rehab and faced 2 felony charges related to missing millions from a settlement tied to Satterfield's death. Satterfield's heirs claimed they received nothing from a secret $4.3 million settlement orchestrated by Murdaugh. A few days after Murdaugh's arrest, a South Carolina judge denied Murdaugh's bond and ordered him to undergo a psychiatric evaluation. The deeper dive the court took into this case, way more horrific events came to light. The state's investigation into Murdaugh's business dealings resulted in 27 new indictments. Charges included breach of trust, obtaining property by false pretenses, money laundering, computer crimes, and forgery. The state attorney general's office alleged that Murdaugh schemed to defraud victims and launder nearly $4.9 million. The time had come where, one after the other, Murdaugh had to pay for what he had done. The attorney general dropped more charges on Murdaugh, including 9 counts of breach of trust, 7 counts of computer crimes, 4 counts of money laundering, and 1 count of forgery. Prosecutors say that's a total of 48 separate charges, including victims ranging from family friends to an undocumented immigrant and a man in a car wreck. On December 13th, a judge set Murdaugh's bond at $7 million. While being held in Richland County Jail, Murdaugh broke his silence, revealing that he was going through opiate withdrawal in September when he sought to have himself killed. Murdaugh had either lost his mind or realized that the consequences he had to face were so severe that death seemed better. But this wasn't the end for Alex Murdaugh and his unforgivable crimes. Stay tuned as we dive deeper into this corrupt attorney's life. First, a grand jury dropped 23 new charges on Murdaugh, including breach of trust and computer crimes. In total, he now faced a staggering 71 charges linked to the alleged theft of about $8.5 million, spanning 11 years. Adding to the legal saga, a claim was filed against the estates of Margaret and Paul Murdaugh following a 2019 boat crash that killed 19-year-old family friend Mallory Beach. Survivors joined the legal action, seeking compensation related to the tragic accident. Meanwhile, a grand jury hit Murdaugh with 4 more charges tied to a scheme to defraud insurance companies, implicating another attorney, Corey Fleming. Things escalated further as Murdaugh and Eddie Smith were indicted on criminal conspiracy and narcotic offenses, including drug distribution charges spanning from 2013 to 2021. Fast forward, a grand jury announced double murder charges in the death of Margaret and Paul. Initially, the Murdaugh double murder case was closed due to lack of witnesses. However, it later resulted in a grand jury charging Alex with double murder charges in connection with the death of Margaret and Paul. He could have gotten away with it if it weren't for one small piece of evidence from a video Paul unknowingly recorded moments before his death. The video, showing one of the family dogs at the kennels, also captured the voice of Alex Murdaugh, confirming his presence at the crime scene. South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson emphasized the power of circumstantial evidence, highlighting the significance of the kennel video in securing the conviction. Juror Craig Moyer, in an interview with ABC News, revealed that the jury took less than an hour to reach a unanimous decision, with the video evidence playing a crucial role. Moyer noted Alex's voice clearly in the video and expressed his doubt about the defendant's overall credibility. Legal analyst Joey Jackson of Murdaugh's defense stated that the evidence, including cell phone and car data, along with the recorded voice, strongly placed him at the crime scene. The juror's perspective, according to Jackson, reflected a belief in Murdaugh's ongoing deceit and the compelling nature of the evidence, ultimately leading to the guilty verdict. As the video destroyed his cover, Alex took the stand, admitting to multiple lies about his whereabouts. He reasoned his deception was due to paranoid thoughts stemming from long-term opioid addiction. While denying involvement in the death of his wife and son, Murdaugh confessed to stealing millions from his law firm and clients over 2 decades. Murdaugh pleaded not guilty to the murder charges and later faced 9 additional counts related to money laundering and computer crimes. The indictment alleges theft from his firm and taking advantage of an accounting error. Finally, the state attorney general's office set Murdaugh's murder trial for January 23, 2024 at the Colleton County courthouse. During a pretrial hearing, prosecutors claim Murdaugh killed his family for sympathy, while his defense questions the motive and points to financial investigations. From a new trial motion to a guilty plea, the Murdaugh case finally came to an end in 2023. First off, Murdaugh's lawyers filed a motion seeking a new trial, claiming evidence of jury tampering. The motion accused Colleton County Clerk of Court, Rebecca Hill, of pressuring the jury, misrepresenting information, and advising against believing Murdaugh's testimony. In court for the first time since the murder trial, Murdaugh faced a November 27 trial date on state financial fraud charges. Meanwhile, Hill denied the jury tampering allegations as revealed in a filing by state prosecutors. In a surprising twist, Murdaugh pleaded guilty to 22 counts of federal financial fraud and money laundering as a part of a plea deal, with sentencing set for a later date. As tensions rose, a court order disclosed that Judge Newman, presiding over the case, requested to be removed from further proceedings following the defense's request for a new judge. Murdaugh reached a plea deal on state charges related to numerous financial crimes. Judge Newman accepted the guilty plea and sentenced Murdaugh to 27 years in state prison, running concurrently with his federal sentence. Murdaugh issued an apology to the victims of his financial crimes after they addressed the court. He may have gotten forgiveness from the victims who suffered through his money laundering, but what about his wife and son? Is the sentence that he is now facing enough to avenge them? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And remember, stay safe out there.